has left hundreds of thousands of cars, trucks, and other vehicles unsafe to drive. Flooded vehicles are supposed to be dismantled for usable parts or crushed for scrap, and a flood title should be issued to that car. But some shady dealers will buy a flooded vehicle, clean it up, and get it retitled with no indication it was flooded. Or uninsured cars will be cleaned up by the owner and sold online, also with no warning to the buyer. If the price is too good to be true, it probably is. Make sure to check for flood damage and have a qualified mechanic inspect the vehicle before you write a check. The free VIN check service from the National Insurance Crime Bureau is a good place to start. Head over to nicb.org to check it out.
To report fraud, call us at 1-800-TEL-NICB. This is a public service message from the National Insurance Crime Bureau.
Here's what you missed on Wake Up with WURD.
Rupert Murdoch, the 92-year-old Australian media magnate whose creation of Fox News made him a force in American politics, is stepping down as leader of both Fox's parent company and his News Corp media holdings. Now, I don't know Rupert Murdoch, but I do know that Fox has spread lies about election. I know its hosts have been the voices of white supremacy. I know that the network's personalities spread conspiracy theories. I know that all of it has helped to split the country. So I won't miss Rupert Murdoch being the man behind the curtain. He's done enough damage to last 2 lifetimes. Unfortunately, I won't have to miss his treacherous schemes. His son will take his place as Dr. Evil.
Tune in to Wake Up with WURD with Solomon Jones every Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on WURD. Progressive Black Talk Media.
What kind of help does the IRS have for identity theft victims?
If you suspect you're a victim of tax-related identity theft, go to irs.gov/identity theft to learn how to prevent potential refund fraud and protect your tax account. At the IRS, combating tax-related identity theft is a top priority, and we are committed to prevention, detection, and assisting victims. And we're working with law enforcement to catch the criminals. For more info, go to irs.gov/identity theft to learn what the IRS is doing to help protect you.
Are you ready to party? The party is about to be on. Join us Friday, November 10th for WURD Radio's 20th anniversary celebration, an evening of Black excellence and elegance at the beautiful Fiddler Club in downtown Philadelphia. A cocktail reception gets us started at 6 p.m. Grab a bite, share a toast, or hang out with your favorite WURD host. And in recognition of this milestone birthday, we're bringing together the owners of the nation's 3 remaining Black Talk radio stations, Melody Span Cooper of WVON Chicago, Tavis Smiley of KBLA Los Angeles, and WURD's own CEO Sarah Lomax, exploring the future of Black independent-owned media. We'll have a special live performance with dynamic songstress Carol Riddick, and the house will be rocking with legendary DJ Gary O, spinning music from old school to today. To get your tickets, visit wordradio.com/20th anniversary. And remember, membership has its privileges. For WURD members can still continue to purchase tickets at a discounted rate. Your membership will be verified after purchase. Our 20th anniversary celebration is brought to you by Comcast, Bank of America, United Way, Keystone First, Wells Fargo, United Healthcare, and Mainline Health.
We gon' celebrate and have a good time.
We're bringing joy and power to the people. This is WURD Radio, 900 AM and 96.1 FM, WURD, Philadelphia. Celebrating 20 years of progressive Black Talk media. Streaming online at wordradio.com and the WURD Radio app. The views and opinions expressed by the guests, listeners, and hosts of any program on WURD Radio do not necessarily reflect those of the ownership, management, or advertisers of this station.
I'm simply saying that life finds a way.
All right, people, write something on the board. Let's spell it. First letter.
L. O.
What's that?
What?
It's time It's time to have real, honest, open, difficult, and inspiring conversations. It's time for Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media.
Family, hey there. Hello. Hello and welcome. Welcome to Love and Life with yours truly, Carol Riddick, right here on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media, on air and online at wordradio.com. So here we are, Monday, September 25th. Heavens to Murgatroyd. Lord, happy Monday to you. Either way, though, right? Because we're happy to see every Monday we get. Happy Liquid Sunshine Monday. To that point. Okay. Nick and I are always happy to have you join us. So, how was your weekend? Fill us in. You know, I for one want to know. You know I do. You know I want to know everything. I tell you this every single Monday. But what you can do to fill us in is let us know in the comments, or you can give us a call. You can do that. To that point, I'm sending special birthday shout outs to Carla Withers, Frank Sheffield, Marcus Spencer, and my sons from other mothers, James Reese and Yaquan Tepe. And also to you, if you are celebrating a birthday. I hope I'm just enjoying life. How about that? I'm on 10 today, as you can tell. I don't know why, but I'll take it. Okay. I will take it. Family, if you're on our socials, I'm going to remind you to let us know that you're out there and to let us know how your weekend was. Let us know what you did, how your day is going so far. Or you can even give us a call. You can do that. Yes, you can. And you can do that by dialing 215-634-8065. You can even call us toll free. And you can do that by dialing 1-866-361-0900. I want to extend my utmost gratitude, you hear me, to the Will Downing crew and to Jacksonville, Florida as a whole, all right? As a whole, okay? For an awesome weekend. Florida, y'all showed up and showed out. You hear me? Well, Jacksonville, let me say that because I didn't go anywhere but Jacksonville. But Jacksonville, y'all did it. I had so much fun. And our family member, Frey brought the entire crew. You hear me? All the girls were out. It was wonderful. So thank you to Frey and to all of her girls that came to the shows. We really did have a wonderful time. I know I did. All of my extra love, though, and all of my extra hugs goes to you today if your light is shining a little dimly, especially if you're navigating the loss of a loved one. I just want you to know that on behalf of your tribe and your entire village, that you are not alone. You hear me? You are not alone. I hope you feel it, and I want you to know that. Okay? So checking in on our socials, our brother Malcolm White, he's sharing that he's watching and he's listening from West Mount Airy. Good evening to you too, brother Malcolm. He's sending love to the entire WURD family. Brother Nasir, hi there. He is sending love as well. Peace and blessings he's sharing. And he's asking me how Florida was. I'm going to tell you, listen, Florida doesn't owe me anything, okay? I did it. I did all of Jacksonville. I had a ball. And he shares that he went to Parks for the horse race. Oh, see, that sounds like fun. I've never done that, but it sounds exciting. It sounds exciting to me. So family, all right. What we're going to do is get started. You know, the hour goes by so quickly, and today is Monday. And for those of you who are unaware, what we do on Monday is we talk to Farida Boyer. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. She is our resident clinician. I just love her to pieces. But she is also the executive director and co-founder of the Black Brain Campaign Association. And she's here today to talk with us about how one can navigate divorce, especially when one person in the couple doesn't want it. Okay. Yeah. So, family, I invite you to the conversation with none other than Farida Boyer. Hey there, beautiful.
Hello, how are you?
I won't complain. You hear me? I'm already
You
on 10.
sound like you had an amazing weekend.
What? I did. I had so much fun. You know, it's funny. I've been to Jacksonville in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where I was. Well, primarily downtown. But this past weekend, I was in so many other areas of Jacksonville. I just had a ball. I had a ball.
Oh, that was nice.
You would have thought I was on holiday. I had a ball. I was supposed to be working. But I'm happy to say it. Yeah, so did you have a good weekend? You know, I like to
It went by pretty quick. It was raining. It was raining a lot, so I stayed in. Yeah.
Oh.
It was a storm. It was just they say it was a storm. It was just rain.
Oh, that system, that hurricane or something. That's
Yes.
I'm sorry. Look at me. Now here I come bringing all the sunshine. I'm sorry, family. Here I come like, I had a ball. I had so much fun. And y'all are saying, yeah, whatever.
Right. Basically.
Go ahead with all your little fun and your little sunshine. Look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But woo, family. There are some more family members who are joining the room and are ready to join the conversation. None other than Heather Wilson. Hey there, girl. We went to high school together. It's my childhood friend. Hey there, Heather. Thank you for hanging out with us. And Wynette. Hi there. She shares, hello, ladies. So, all right, Farida, let's get into this conversation. Okay, so we're talking about divorce, navigating a divorce when one member of the couple doesn't want it. I'm going to jump right in. How should one navigate getting a divorce or initiate getting a divorce from their significant other, particularly when that other party does not want it? How do you navigate that?
So from a clinical perspective, I would say seek support. If you're in therapy, really talk about what it is that you're experiencing. Maybe explain why the other person doesn't want the divorce, and when I say how you can navigate through it. Of course, you should probably get an attorney to help you through the process. And I would also say try to reach out to a friend or a family member that you know who've experienced divorce, because it's going to be a difficult process. And if you've never been through a divorce, you don't know what that process is like. I think it's best to have supports in place, because you're about to go through a difficult time, especially if the other partner doesn't want one, or if you don't want one. It's going to be a difficult task for you. So, and give yourself grace. Try to set some goals for yourself to see what is it that you want to happen, what is it that you don't want to happen, and talk through it so that when the time comes, you're able to process it in a way. I've never been divorced. I've heard so many things about divorce. I've met with couples and people might think that when couples come to counseling that we recommend divorces. Most therapists do not recommend you should get a divorce unless it's something physical going on or it's something that's traumatic that's impacting the person. And it's our obligation to say something like that.
You know, I can share that I have been divorced, and whether you are the person initiating it or the person that wants it or not, it is painful. It is really painful. It is an emotional process, and it's a lot of pain. And I will say too that I did not talk with. I'm one of those people, like I've got to handle it. I've got to do it. I'm not really big on communicating with other individuals about what's going on with me and my life. Not until after the fact. And that was the way I handled that as well. So it was. I'm listening to you say this maybe about talking with someone. Maybe it would have been less painful had I had I opened up the conversation. But sometimes, people offer opinions that either are, they offer opinions when they really, really don't understand what's going
Right.
on, or don't,
And when I say finding someone like to speak to, somebody that's supportive, not someone that you're thinking just like, oh, okay, she just being nosy, she want to know my business, or he's just saying this because whatever. Finding somebody that you trust, that you can share, not just anybody, but someone that you can trust and that is not coming from a judgmental place, but someone that just can actively listen and kind of point you in the right direction.
Yeah. Okay, family, I know this conversation here, we're going to get into some things, but what I want to do is to try to be fair. And I know we have some family members waiting on our phone lines to talk with us as well. So I'm going to go to line 1. Ron is checking in. Hi, Ron.
Hi, Cal. Hi, Miss. I want to say this, please. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Will for treating Cal so kind. She's needed. She deserves it. And you know one thing, ma'am? Cal is a beautiful human being. I took her in the church. Oh, yes, I did. Cal knew nothing about this. And the reason I took her in there, her compassion. What a caring person. When she heard about it, I think Cal said, he did what? And I took her in that church. And I was talking about blessed are the carers. And I mentioned her name. And I was telling some people, they said, well, you mentioned Cal's name. She wasn't on the program. I said, but she wasn't in the Bible, but she's in the Bible. Caring for people, especially the young ones in the most crucial part of their life. And the gentleman that got sick, it's so kind for everybody. It touched me. It touched me. And who comforts Cal of all the things that she has done in her life? And I certainly hope it is I don't wish. It is my hope that the city of Philadelphia, they thank you, Cal. What a beautiful human being with such compassion for others, who comforts the comforter in the least of these. And Cal is like that. And I always say to myself, and I'm glad Mr. Will take her and give her that comfort that she needs in her life. And may God bless Cal with all the gifts besides the city of Philadelphia rewards her. And may God give her help and strength. What a beautiful human being. Thank you very much, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you so much. So much with every fiber of my being. Thank you so much. I so appreciate your kind words and your compassion. Thank you. I want to take a moment to go to line 2. We have Miss Audrey who is joining us on line 2. Hi, Miss Audrey. Thank you so much for calling.
And thank you for accepting my call. And good evening to you, Cal, and good evening to you, Dr. Farida, and to everyone listening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Regarding divorce, I'm going to take it to a different construct and layers that are involved with that. One of the worst, messiest divorces in this country was pre-Civil War, and that was with Mr. Benjamin Franklin. Mr. Benjamin Franklin, because he was a statesman here in Pennsylvania, and because he was a recognized chess player in Russia, and because it was that the Queen of England denounced him, for every law that was put into place, it really made it difficult as it pertains to marriage, divorce, and children. And because of all that I've said at all above, and I know it to be a fact, because they want to claim only one slave, and that would go for anyone else whom in fact had those of our ancestors working without a wage. It did, in fact, make it difficult so that during a divorce, actually, the larger percentage of the money goes back to whatever state that is across this nation, and very little of it goes to the single parent or the separated parent or the divorced parent, which is why they created the innocent spouse, an injured spouse, and the other tax document where one parent claims the child, and then there's the agreement that the other parent claims the child. And that is part of the problem in our divorce proceedings. And whereas it pertains to our children and the court processes, they are so injured in the midst of all this because of it, as it is that we know. The Department of Human Services has not been, I want to say, the best partnership for our children, because they have not been a priority, whether it's been foster parenting or whether it's been divorce proceedings or whether it's been that our children become incarcerated at a young age. And I bring that to the table this evening.
Miss Audrey, like I said, Miss Audrey, every time you call, I receive a different education. I was unaware of that. I was completely and totally unaware of that. But I'm going to ask you to sit tight for one moment because I want to ask you a question about that. Family, it's time for us to take just a short break, but the phone lines are open and feel free to continue to comment on our socials. We'll be right back.
Words of empowerment.
Oh, I am Vera Portier, and I am the founder of Every Heartbeat Counts. Yes, younger generation, please. Life is short. Love one another. Take care of one another. Advocate for one another. Be kind. We're better together. We are better together. Talk to your parents. Reach out to somebody in 100 Black men. You are loved. I know you feel like we're a little disconnected. I'm willing to talk to you and connect with you and just get on the same wavelength. We love you.
This is Words of Joy and Empowerment on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. Audio provided by Love Now Media. These Words of Joy and Empowerment are brought to you by Wells Fargo, Mainline Health, and the Pennsylvania Lottery.
When you take a walk around your neighborhood and notice all the things that make it feel like home, like all the houses lined neatly together in a row, or your neighbor, Miss Rita, who always waves at you when you drive down the street, or that movie theater in the strip mall that might look a little worn down, but has the best popcorn you've ever tasted. One thing might be a little harder to notice, because somewhere tucked in that neat row of houses is hunger. It could be your next door neighbor, or your coworker, or your daughter's friend from school, because over 30 million Americans don't know where their next meal is coming from. Hunger lives in neighborhoods all around us, but it doesn't have to. Together, we can provide 1 billion meals by 2030, because everyone should be welcome at the table. Learn more at nourishingneighbors.com from Acme Markets, Palucci's, and King's Foundations. Let's break the cycle of hunger together.
Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. It starts with a monitor. Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Visit manageyourbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association, in partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
This is your celebration.
Congratulations, WURD, on your 20th anniversary. You do not look a day over 18. But the importance of Black Talk Media is that it takes a deeper dive into our community's issues that you can't cover in a 30-second news bite on TV, that you have dialogue, that you have communication. Sometimes you have disagreements and confrontation, but you come to an understanding. Thank you for being communicators of our issues in our community.
WURD Radio celebrating 20 Black joy and excellence. We're so happy to be here. Karen Smith.
Sandees Davis.
And we're wishing you the best, and 20 more, and 20 more, and 20 more, and 20 more.
We're celebrating 20 years of progressive Black Talk Media. You're listening to Love and Life with Carol Riddick on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media.
Well, hello there, family. Welcome back. You are tuned in to Love and Life with yours truly, Carol Riddick, right here on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media, on air and online at wordradio.com. So before the break, one of our family members, Miss Audrey, called and she was sharing some information with us. Miss Audrey, are you still there by any chance? I don't believe we still have Miss Audrey, but I did have a question about what she shared. I wanted to, well, I'll save that question. It doesn't matter. I want to move on because we don't have Miss Audrey here to answer it. What I'm going to do is go to our socials because some of our family members have been commenting and checking in. Wynette, hi there, beautiful. Wynette Stockling Brown. She shares, oh, it was such a pleasure meeting you too. She's sharing. Yes, yes, yes. It was such a pleasure. We had a ball, didn't we? Frey is joining. Hi there, Frey. She's sending love to everybody as well. Malcolm is sharing the divorce. It's tough on children too. Yeah, we're going to talk. We are definitely going to talk about that. Nicole P is checking in. Hello there, beautiful. And she shares, hello. Miss Farida is spot on. My trusted village made the entire process manageable. People don't talk much about the level of sensitivity needed during the divorce process. That's so true. Janine is checking in. Love you more, Jay. Love you more. I want you to know that. Gary Bryant is checking in as well, and he's sending love to the entire Word family. So I believe we do have Miss Audrey back. Miss Audrey, are you there by any chance? Okay. We have a question until we get that together because it seems like we've got something. The devil is trying to get in our details, and you know the devil is never welcome here. So Heather has a question. She'd like to know, how can you find out if someone is divorced? Is there a way to find out online for free?
I believe that divorces are public records, just like marriages are public records. So it may be something that the city has access to. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty certain it becomes public.
Mm-hmm. And Eric is checking in. Just Rick. He's sending good evening love to everybody, but he has a question. He shares his happy to see us both. Happy to see you, Farida, as well. How do you teach an individual, male or female, how to embrace a life of new independence versus past codependence?
I think it's important to give yourself time to assess like what has happened and how it made you feel. What's the process? What did you actually go through? And this is one of the reasons why I think that people should go to therapy, because it gives you an opportunity to process it, to help you to understand like what has happened for you during that process, what feelings and what emotions came up, what could you have done different, what was working for you, what wasn't working for you. And because when you're thinking about how to move forward in a process, I'm sure you want to heal from all of those things. So in order to heal from it, one of the things that you said that you kept yourself, your divorce private, which is some people do. However, finding a therapist or somebody to talk to is private, and it gives you an opportunity to share how it is that you actually feel, and trying to develop that independence, because when you think about divorce, it's a loss.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same as death, but it's a loss that involves grief, heartache. It changes your entire life. The things that you probably hoped and dreamed that you will be forever with this person is no longer going to happen. So how do you now navigate through the process, giving yourself time to heal through it, learning from it, and making new goals for yourself?
Yeah, to that point, Farida, I when I was going through the divorce itself, I kept that to myself, but coming out of it, like immediately after, when I was sharing with those closest to me, it took me so very long. It took me years to get past the pain of it all. It took me years. Took me years I will say that. I'm going to try one more time to see if Miss Audrey is still with us. Miss Audrey, are you there by any chance?
I am here,
There
Carol. I
she
can hear
is.
you now. You're
Okay.
you could hear me as well. You couldn't hear me. So thank you. I'm here.
I'm so glad. I kept saying, where is she? So I want to make sure I understand correctly what you were sharing with us. Were you saying that some of the laws and principles that are still in place as it pertains to divorce are a result of Ben Franklin's divorce?
Yes, I was saying that exactly. It's particularly speaking in terms of the state of Pennsylvania. And that I'm saying, Carol, because of the fact that when you go to any information regarding Mr. Benjamin Franklin, he speaks of his child and he speaks of his change of heart or change of thought when he was close to his death. And as it has since been learned, those laws that were put in place, I'm going to name one, civil penalties, when it is that you're late in paying your family court debt. The fact that there are arrests of people who are literally working. And many times, Carol and Dr. Farida, as you know as well, they do not find the job that matches their skill, yet the court demands that if on the next date that they set their court hearing, they don't have a certain amount of money, they're to go to jail. Many a man, many a woman has lost their job in the process of this debt. So what it is the civil penalty as well as the debt, that's DEPT, the debt indicator that stays attached to their Social Security number. For many, it's for life, where it is that they cannot get a passport, where it is that if they get a driver's license and find a good job, the employer gets the notice, and this, in fact, creates a environment at the workplace as well as for the person who is trying to manage the, as is stated, the debt owed to the state. So, yes, it does create a situation for the family. It creates a situation because there's a separation and divide where the argument then becomes, I can do better without you as a single parent. And it shouldn't have to be. Or a person is calling from inside the jail, and they and the whole fact of it is that they didn't have a certain amount by the time that they got to court. So we all know that we are not always able to get jobs that match our intellect, that matches our degree, let alone be able to live with that as an indicator on our record for life. So they need to separate that is not a felony. Because they have it as a felony, that's a major hurt against the person who is trying and struggling to pay, as they say, the debt back to society. So, yes, that was part of a problem created by Mr. Franklin. Yep.
I say it all the time about these laws that were created so long ago, that these antiquated laws that we are still navigating and paying for. Thank you, Miss Audrey, for that clarity. Thank you for that education and for that information. As always, I'm looking at the clock and I want to pivot because we were talking, we mentioned how hard divorce is on children, on the babies. And I mean, I've seen, a scenario or two where the children were affected, but I'm asking, what's the best way to navigate when you decide you want a divorce, especially if it's children who've lived with their parents, they've lived in a 2-parent household for, quite a period of time. I don't know how long of a period of time it matters, because I would assume it wouldn't matter as much. But the question I have is, what would your suggestion be to those individuals when they decide they're divorcing? How do they navigate that with children?
Sit down and have a conversation with the child. Do not not have a conversation with them. I think you have to speak to them on an age appropriate level. What you say to a 7-year-old is not the same thing you're going to say to the 17-year-old. So you may have to, depending on the age range of your children, you may have to have separate conversations, because one reason is when you're looking at children's ages, the 17-year-old might have heard things over the years that the 7-year-old may not have been privy to or aware of. So you just want to make sure that you're having honest and open dialogues, letting the children know that this is not because of you, because sometimes children blame themselves that the parents are getting a divorce, and how can I do something different? Because ultimately they want their family to stay together. So just helping them to understand this has nothing to do with you. We still love you. We still care for you. We still want to work together to parent you the best way that we know how. So go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, are teenagers or children that are a little older better able or equipped emotionally or mentally to handle divorce than the younger ones? Or
I think it depends on the level of the child. It doesn't matter. They're still going to be hurt because it's still a loss for them. Their family is splitting up. It's no longer mom, dad together. So they're going to be impacted by it all. And most of the times we don't have those honest conversations with children because we think that they can't handle it. Find a book, especially for a younger child. There are books are out there that talk about divorce and how you can help them to understand what's actually happening, because sometimes they don't even know. If you're saying divorce to a young child, they're like, what is that? They don't even understand the depths of what is divorce. So helping them to, one, just understand the word. This is what divorce means. This means mom and dad are no longer going to be together, but we're going to always be your parents.
So let me ask you this. Would you suggest that the couple sit with the child or with the children by themselves, or would you suggest that they seek like maybe a therapist or a median?
Of course, I'm going to say seek a therapist. And the reason why I say that is because the therapist is there to create a balance in the room, to help. And as a family therapist, not only am I responsible for the parents, but I'm also responsible for the children to help them to understand. So it may look like I meet with the couple once to talk about how are we going to have this conversation with the children. We're going to bring in the children. This is what we need. What are we going to say to the child? Do we need to have separate meetings for the younger children and the older children? Then are we going to bring the family to, we then may bring everybody together so everybody has an opportunity so that their voice is heard.
I didn't think about that, separating the younger children from the older children, because that is a different conversation. That's definitely a different conversation. I may have usurped your response to Eric's question. And I'm looking at the time. In a moment, we're going to go to commercial break, but I just want to bring it back around the table because I believe I did. Eric asked, how do you teach an individual, male or female, to learn how to embrace a new life of independence versus a past life of codependence? I believe that I didn't give you the opportunity to answer that question.
So I think that having them looking at themselves and even trying to understand what does it look like now for me, because I did depend on this other person for a period of time. Now it's just going to be myself. So what does that look like for me? Am I now responsible for caring for myself financially? Am I now responsible for taking care of the children? What does that look like for me? How am I able to care for myself? Because you have some people who've 18 and been married for years and never been by themselves. I'm thinking about a family friend whose husband had passed away, but he did everything. And when he passed away, she didn't even know how to pay the bills.
Oh, yeah. I know someone who had that experience as well.
So it's you're developing a new life for yourself. What does that look like? What is it that you need? And really trying to understand and looking at yourself. And I would definitely recommend therapy for that person, because they have to figure out for themselves, what do I need as an individual? Because I've been dependent on this other person for such a long time.
Right. Ooh, family. Like I said in the beginning, heavens to Murgatroyd. So listen, it's time for us to take just a short break, but do know that you are still able to comment on our socials. I know when we come back, we won't have a whole lot of time left with Farida because she's only with us for this 1 hour, but we're happy to have any of the time that she can give us. So if you do have a comment or a question, feel free to put it in the comment section on our socials and we will get to it as best we can. Let me say that, as best we can when we come back from this commercial break. So family, stay with us because we'll be right back.
What are you waiting for? If you've been enjoying the information and interviews WURD provides every day, or come out to our community events, it might be time to become a member. This year marks the 20th anniversary of WURD, and there's no better time to join the forward movement. Sign up or renew your sustaining membership at just $90, or your digital membership for just $5 a month. Join online at wordradio.com/membership, or pick up the phone and give us a call at 215-425-7875. Press 4 for assistance. The time to join is now.
What am I waiting for?
Tailgating season is here. Keep things sizzling all season long with Dietz & Watson. Fire up the grill with perfectly smoked premium franks and sausages, or enjoy endless sandwich combos with fresh sliced meats and cheeses in a variety of bold flavors. There's something for everyone in the family. Plus, plenty of protein-packed snacks. Head to DietzandWatson.com to find a ShopRite store near you. Dietz & Watson. It's a family thing. Premium meats and artisan cheeses since 1939.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you. You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Veterans, plan ahead to ensure your loved ones are protected at the end of your life. Include a copy of your discharge papers with your will. Apply for VA life insurance. Write your healthcare decisions in a living will. Review survivor's benefits. Explore VA burial options with a pre-need application. Don't wait. Visit va.gov/plan-ahead to learn more.
Why is WURD important to the community?
Thank you for asking.
Let me count the ways.
And it's one of the most important radio stations in the country.
WURD has always been a platform for Black people in Philadelphia.
We're one of the only Black-owned talk radio stations in the country. We're one of 4 in the nation.
You know, a lot of what's going on in the world today, I think, is a result of people feeling like they don't have a voice.
Without WURD, we wouldn't have such educated, loving, caring people of color who really are interested in what's going on in neighborhoods around the city.
WURD creates such a sense of community in the Black community here in Philadelphia.
It amplifies the voices that are mostly marginalized.
It allows you to speak and be heard and to create your own narrative, your own story.
It's a place where we can share our thoughts, our ideas, our dreams.
You control who and what you say about yourself.
Every community needs a hub.
We are 20 years strong, giving voice to the community, and without the community, there will be no WURD. We are one and the same, and it is not a game. WURD.
What is love?
You're listening to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media.
I think I know what love is.
Welcome back, family. You're tuned in to Love and Life with yours truly, Carol Riddick, right here on WURD. It is Monday, and you know what we do on Mondays. We talk to Mrs. Farida Boyer, and this conversation tonight is, well, let's get into it. How about that? I won't talk too much about it. I do want to say that some more of our family members are checking in. Raphael Suleiman is checking in. Hey there, brother Raphael. It is always a pleasure to have you join us as well. And Eric shares, thank you. It's a whole new world. Very good advice, Farida. And so we were talking about the babies. Would it be your suggestion, Farida, that the couple, even if they themselves don't seek therapy individually, that they seek therapy for the child or children?
Absolutely. Because it gives them the child the opportunity to express what it is that they're thinking and feeling in a safe environment. And they don't have to say it to their parents, but the therapist can help them to have a conversation with their parents about what it is that they're thinking and feeling. So it's definitely, they have different type of therapies, like you can engage in art therapy or play therapy for younger children who are not as expressive with verbal communication. So there's different options that you can use, but I definitely recommend it because it just gives them an opportunity in a safe environment to speak about what it is that they're thinking and feeling.
That makes sense. We have a question about acquiring those public records about which you spoke. How do we do that?
So you actually go to the courthouse. The courthouse, it is so divorce. When you file divorce, it becomes a public record, and you can go to your local courthouse to find the information.
Oh, so you have to physically go to the courthouse. Can you obtain that online?
I don't know about that now.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not that public.
No.
It's public, but not that public.
But you never know. You know, online has a lot of different things. So I'm not going to say, no, you can't. But I just know that it is filed and it's a public record.
Everything is online, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. How much you pay for your house, everything. Yeah.
I mean,
yes.
I mean, just listen. What in the world? Like, who needs to know all of your entire life?
And I just want to clarify something because my mother put it in our family group chat. She said the ladies call him Farida doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. Let me just be clear.
Mom will listen. That would be my mother. That would be my mother. Oh, I love it. I love it. That was my mother saying hello to me. That's exactly what that was. My mother's no longer here with me in the flesh, but she is definitely here in the spirit every day, all day. So that was my mother saying hi to me. My mother would say, Carol, tell her you're not a doctor. That would be my mother. That would be, and she would say it just like that. I promise you. Oh, family. Okay, so you are tuned in to Love and Life and the shenanigans of yours truly, Carol Riddick, right here on WURD. I can't help it, y'all. I just can't help it. You know, you got to see the silver lining. I try to. I really do. Oh, but here we are on WURD. It's Monday. We're talking with Mrs. Farida Boyer, and we're talking about divorce. We're talking about navigating it. So, Farida, what kind of effects would you say divorce can have on one's psyche when actually going through the unwanted divorce, like the person who does not want it?
That can be heavy on a person because when you think about the emotional impact, one is something that you don't want. So how does that make you feel as an individual? It can impact your self-esteem. Again, when you're thinking about spending the future with somebody, it changes your whole world. The goals and plans that you have for yourself and for your marriage are going to change. You now have to focus on your individual self. And what does that even look like? Sometimes you don't know. You're dealing with a loss. This person that you thought you were going to be with, you're no longer going to be with. So when you think about even a death, it's not a death, but it's something similar that you're no longer going to be with this person.
A detachment.
Exactly. Exactly. So it definitely can play on your psyche. It so then you want to do something like maybe some self-care, some self-help, maybe join a group, go to individual therapy.
Yeah, well, I was going to say to that point too, because one of our family members, Nicole, she said her trusted village made the entire process manageable. You know, I will say to what you're saying, what you're speaking about right now, about trying to navigate that. I agree with you. I agree with Nicole wholeheartedly, because it was because of my village, my trusted village, that even because I did not seek therapy, but and I wasn't, I actually filed, but it was a situation that was no longer serving my life positively. So even still, like I said, it's still painful. It's still painful because of the detachment, because of all that is involved.
It's a lot of
So
hurt.
it's a lot of hurt. It's a lot of hurt. It really is. It really
And,
is.
and two, you might be thinking, what could I have done different? And what if I did this? Or what if I did that? So all of these things play in your mind. And so it's important for you to talk it out. And even if, like you said, a village, if you have some support people that can talk to and just listen, you're not even looking for advice, just somebody just to listen and hear. Because this is what happens a lot of times to us. We keep our emotions bottled up inside. And our feelings, our thoughts, we keep it bottled up inside, and we don't have an opportunity to get them out. I would recommend journaling, just talking about how you feel. Sometimes music makes it feel better for you. So you have to put processes in place for whatever makes you feel better, because it's gonna be a trial. It's traumatizing. So it's definitely gonna be something heavy that you need to figure out a way to lighten your load.
So true. So true. In addition to trying to figure everything else out, you're going to have to identify what it is that will allow you to find that level of comfort. And that is so true. So true. So
Some
true.
sense of peace. Like you just like, even if it's, let me just take a day of doing nothing and just sitting here and just quiet, whatever it is that you think is necessary for yourself, but you got to do the work, because you can't just suffer in silence.
Ooh, bringing back memories, Farida.
And I want to just say, look at where you are today. Look at where you were in that process and what you were going through. And that's with anything. After you have time to heal, it gets better over time.
It does. It truly, it really, truly does. But I know when you're in the thick of it, you don't see that light at the end of the tunnel. You don't, you're not even thinking about tomorrow or the day after or the day after. You're thinking about the next minute and how you're going to manage that next minute emotionally and aesthetically, because everything about your life changes. So you're trying to figure out how to manage it all. As you know, I'm telling you stuff that you already know. But family, y'all hear me talking. Y'all know I'm transparent. Y'all know I tell you. And this is what was happening with me. I was processing all of that.
And it's good to hear somebody, even for the listeners, just to hear you share, because if somebody else is experiencing divorce during this time, it's good for them to hear they're not alone in the process.
Oh, how about that? Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So, yeah, what I will say to you family, yep, you right there. If you are listening or watching, and if you are navigating a divorce, whether you initiated it, whether you did not, whether you want it or whether you do not want it, just know that it does get better. It does get better. I am here to tell you that it gets better. It absolutely gets better. And I say, be prayerful, but take your time. Take your time. Don't you rush your healing for anybody or anything. Take your time and feel what you feel so that you can go through it to get past it. That's what I say. That would be my own advice. Now, I am no therapist or what have you, but speaking from my own personal journey, That was how I got here.
Mm-hmm.
How I'm here is talking with you today on this little liquid sunshine day, bringing y'all all the sunshine. That's how I got here. So, Frey is sharing with us. Frey shares that she has not been married yet to be divorced. All of those things. That is why music is her happy place. That is why she loves Will Downing's singer. Oh, I love you, Frey, so much, and our God-given talents. Thank you so much for that. Oh, Lord, family, I just love y'all to pieces. So listen, it's time for us to take a break. But when we come back in the next hour, we have some more family members that are joining us for another conversation that is a necessary one. So, family, thank you so much, Mrs. Farida Boyer. God willing, we will see you next week on Monday.
Yes.
And family, you stay with us because we'll be right back.
Are you ready to party? The party is about to be on. Join us Friday, November 10th for WURD Radio's 20th anniversary celebration, an evening of Black excellence and elegance at the beautiful Fiddler Club in downtown Philadelphia. A cocktail reception gets us started at 6 p.m. Grab a bite, share a toast, or hang out with your favorite WURD host. And in recognition of this milestone birthday, we're bringing together the owners of the nation's 3 remaining Black talk radio stations, Melody Span Cooper of WVON Chicago, Tavis Smiley of KBLA Los Angeles, and WURD's own CEO Sarah Lomax, exploring the future of Black independent-owned media. We'll have a special live performance with dynamic songstress Carol Riddick, and the house will be rocking with legendary DJ Gary O, spinning music from old school to today. To get your tickets, visit wordradio.com/20th anniversary. And remember, membership has its privileges. For WURD members can still continue to purchase tickets at a discounted rate. Your membership will be verified after purchase. Our 20th anniversary celebration is brought to you by Comcast, Bank of America, United Way, Keystone First, Wells Fargo, United Healthcare, and Mainline Health.
We gon' celebrate and have a good time.
Tune into WURD Radio this Thursday at 10 a.m. for City Council Live, hosted by Ernest Owens. Join conversations that matter to your community with your local City Council members.
Want to get out of just about anything and look like an earth-saving hero? Just use the environment excuse. High school reunion? Sorry, can't. Planetary obligations. Unfortunate bridesmaid's dress? Unfortunately, you promised the climate you'd buy more vintage. Chauffeuring teens? The earth really needs them to hoof it. The environment is always the best excuse. Find your out and opt in to cutting carbon. Just visit theenvironmentexcuse.org. Brought to you by WildAid.
Put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always remember this beat.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Get ready for EcoFest, a celebration of environmental justice in our city. As WURD marks its 2 decades on the airwaves, we're not just reminiscing about the past, we're blazing a trail for the future. Held at One Art Community Center on October 9th, EcoFest will be centered around creating Black green futures. Join us for captivating panel discussions, electrifying musical performances, educational workshops, and a diverse lineup of vendors offering everything you need for a sustainable lifestyle. Make sure you tune into EcoWord every Friday at 10 a.m. hosted by POC for all the exciting event details you won't want to miss. We can't wait to see everyone at One Art Community Center on October 9th for EcoFest. Brought to you by the Alliance for Watershed Education, Keystone First, the Energy Co-op, and the Fiddler Club. Stay tuned and stay inspired only on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. Celebrating 20 years of progressive Black Talk Media. This is WURD, 900 AM and 96.1 FM, Philadelphia. Streaming online at wordradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Let me tell you
you something, and don't you ever forget it. Success is nothing without someone you love to share it with.
You're listening to Love and Life with Carol Riddick on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media.
Well, hello there, family. Welcome back. Welcome to the top of the second hour of Love and Life with yours truly, Carol Riddick, right here on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media, on air and online at wordradio.com. So I was telling you that we have some more family members with whom we are going to speak, and you definitely want to participate in this conversation. I know you do. I know you do. One of our guests, because there are two of them, one of our guests is no stranger to the show. She's visited with us in the past, but we have a new family member who is joining her. So our next guests are Dr. Avgi Saketopoulou and Ann Pellegrini. How did I mess that up? Now look at that. Do you see that? Ann Pellegrini. Okay. So Dr. Avgi Saketopoulou is a psychoanalyst living and practicing in New York City. And Ann Pellegrini, who is a professor of performance studies and social and cultural analysis at New York University, is also a psychoanalyst in private practice in New York City. So family, they're here to speak with us about whether trauma can have a significant influence on one's gender identity. So I welcome you to the conversation. Welcome, family. Hello there. Hello there. How are you?
It's really a pleasure to be here.
It is such a pleasure to have you both. Such a pleasure to have you join us. So I know, and you're new to the family, so welcome. We talk about everything, absolutely everything here. So this is where we have all of the conversations, all of them basically. But I want to jump in because I know the hour goes by so quickly, but I did want to say thank you first for joining us. So the first question I have, is there any truth to the statement that trauma can influence gender identity?
The short answer is yes. Just jumping right in.
Oh, yes, let's jump right in.
The very short answer is yes. And I just want to say, Carol, thank you for welcoming me back to your family and to your amazing show. The short answer is yes, but probably not in the way that most people have in mind when they think about it. And what I mean by that is that usually the connection that is made between trauma and gender is specific to thinking about genders that are variant, like being trans or being non-binary. And it's usually articulated as a charge, as an accusation that to imply that somebody's gender is not legitimate or somebody's gender is not valid because it has been warped by trauma. And as a clinician and as somebody who has been working and living in the queer community for a very long time, I have found that that's not accurate. And Anne and I wrote our book, Gender Without Identity, to actually explore the complex ways in which gender may have to do, which trauma may have to do with all genders, not just variant genders or diverse genders or non-normative genders, but also normative genders, what some people call just male and female. So we are very eager to talk with you about that and with more complexity.
So I want to make sure I understand, and I'm going to preface. I'm going to say this before I say anything else because I have so little knowledge as it pertains to the gender identity and fluidity. I've very little knowledge, so I want to say that first, so as not to offend anyone, any of our family members who may be watching or listening. I want you to understand and to know that I just don't have very much knowledge in that regard. So the understanding I do have is that you've written a book, and in this book, you talk about trauma, Caroline, trauma. You talk about trauma.
There's drama too.
Right, there's drama too. About trauma and as it relates to gender and gender identity, in what ways?
So, again, to sort of pull on something you've already been talking about, that we're in the midst of a cultural conversation about gender, about transgender and non-binary in particular. And it's an often really ugly conversation. And, as many of your listeners know, more than 500 bills were introduced in state legislatures around the country just this year. Many of these bills specifically targeting gender affirmative care for trans children, trans youth, and accompanied by the notion that that being trans can never be valid. And one of the ways in which trans experience has been invalidated historically, again, to pick up on something Avgi said, is the idea that if you're trans, something bad must have happened to you. You've been warped from the way you should be, right? Sort of that you should, you were assigned female at birth, you should grow up to be a girl who becomes a woman, and anything else is a deviation. And we're, making the counterintuitive claim that actually we do think trauma has some relationship to the acquisition of any gender, right? Not just trans and not just non-binary, as Avgi said. Like, we all have experiences that, are outside our control, that shape how we relate to what it means to be a particular gender, for example. And some of these experiences were even painful.
Okay. So every gender.
Yes.
And I want to make sure I definitely understand because there's so much, like I said, there's such a fine line for me. And as it pertains to understanding, and my introduction to a transgender individual was a person who did experience physical trauma. When I met this individual when I was a child. So that definitely was my understanding that anyone who was a transgender human being had experienced some sort of trauma, and I believed it to be physical because of I was very young when I met this individual. But what you're saying is no matter your sex, no matter no matter your gender, no matter your gender, you believe there to be some trauma associated. Am I understanding that correctly?
Let me jump in and say something that might be helpful.
Yes, please, thank you, because I'm having some difficulty. I'm sorry.
Well, I was thinking of how you started by saying something that many people are having a lot of difficulty saying out loud and admitting to themselves, which is like, I really don't understand this domain. Like, a lot is happening. I don't want to offend anyone, but I really am not kind of like keeping up with everything that's going on. So kind of like, I want to start by saying how terrific it is to be able to acknowledge that about oneself, because it gives other people, in this case, us, the opportunity to kind of like start with explaining some things that may not be kind of like available to everybody. Okay. So let me kind of like start with like some things that are really basic, just so that our listeners can follow, which is that there are like, when children are born, they're assigned to a gender at birth, and that's based on like the doctor basically looking at the child's body and saying, oh, it's a girl, oh, it's a boy.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I just want to interject one moment, because I'm so particular when we're speaking, when you say assigned gender, because it's so. I've grown up believing that that's just what it is. We're not assigned. That we're just born male or female. That we're not assigned. Okay,
well, I'm so glad you stopped me about that, because that's already such a big step. Because we used to think that the doctor just names what is already there. Based on the genitals, the doctor just sees a penis or sees a vagina and says, oh, this is a girl, this is a boy. They're just naming something that is already there. But what we've come to understand is that this assumption that the body will give you the verdict of what somebody's gender is is not necessarily accurate. How do we know this? We know this because some people are told that they are boys, but as they develop, as they grow up, they experience themselves as girls. And some people are told that they're girls, and as they grow up, they come to experience themselves as being non-binary. We also know that what one's genitals look like at birth may be incompatible with what their chromosomes are like, or what their internal sex organs are. And this is a set of conditions that is called intersex conditions.
Mm-hmm.
All of this puts a lot of pressure on this idea that we used to have, that the doctor just names the reality, just like, a child has two hands, and you just say the child has two hands. That for the doctor to say this is a boy, they're just naming truth.
It's interesting. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for that explanation. It brings me to and I'm going to ask for your patience with this. There was a conversation that was started on social media, and I'm bringing this up because I want to ask for your opinion on this. I do not have all of the details, but what I do know is that there was a heterosexual woman, cisgender. She was born as a female, who was saying to a transgender woman that there is no comparison. There is no comparison. A woman is, a woman because I can give birth. She was saying because she can give birth, and because the transgender woman could not in the conventional way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to know, that conversation itself. What are your thoughts on that conversation?
Mm-hmm. I don't know the specific details of this interaction, but I guess one of the first things I think about is that so many people who were assigned female at birth and grew up to understand themselves to be girls, and they come to understand themselves as women, and actually aren't able to have children just because you actually are, again, assigned female at birth. You grow up to be a woman. Not every woman is actually able to have children, even if she wants to. She might not even wish to. So to say that the meaning of being a woman is that she can give birth leaves out a lot of people who have a reasonable, actually, I'd say reasonable grounds to say, wait a minute, aren't I a woman too? Right?
Well, females, I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. And I was asking for your opinion on that conversation because there are chromosomes. There's DNA to support female gender. That's my understanding. So when you say a person that is assigned, that is such a tricky word or way of expressing it for me, because I would never say that I'm assigned. I would never say that as it pertains to myself.
Yeah.
I would say I'm a woman. I'm a female. I'm a woman. So when you're talking about myself, I would be a heterosexual. I'll put myself in this woman's shoes. I'll say that because not because I'll put myself in this conversation, saying that I'm a woman. I was born female with female genitalia, and my understanding is that I have the proper body makeup. Yes, but proper body makeup. I have the chromosomes to support giving birth, and that a transgender woman would need assistance in that regard, and that to that point also as well, and I appreciate your response, Anne, but I would say that the majority of those of us who are born female have the ability to give birth. According to statistics, more women give birth than not that have been born as a woman. So I receive your response, but I'm just curious to know how, because I struggle with understanding the understanding of it all.
Yeah, I appreciate how much you're slowing us down to go at this at a pace that makes sense for kind of like for people who are like, what is this assigned thing? I don't understand it. So, you were saying earlier, Carol, like, I don't feel like I was assigned a woman. I am a woman. I want to kind of like share a small vignette from a clinical case that I worked with a child, a trans child who I saw from age 5 until she was almost nearly an adult. So I saw her for many, many years. And there was a moment in the treatment, like a couple of years into my working with her, when she said to me, my dad thinks I'm a boy, and I keep wearing boy clothes so that his heart doesn't keep breaking. So this is a girl who, just like you might have as a child, says, I am a girl. Like, she understands herself as a girl. In her mind, it is other people who are mistaken, who are mistaking the fact that she was assigned male at birth and take that as the truth of her gender, where it makes no sense to her in relation to how she understands herself. And instead, as children often do, when they are worried about hurting their parents or their parents being upset or injured, she is presenting herself in a way that does not upset her dad. So she could look like a boy because she's kind of hiding from others, but in the safety of the consulting room with her therapist, she's able to talk about her gender in the same way that you are saying, but I am a woman. So she's saying, I'm a girl. Now,
I'm sorry. What was she? With what genitalia was she born?
When she was born, she was assigned male at birth, and she had a penis.
Okay.
But even the question of when you say, okay, but most women are able to give birth, or what about the genitals? What about the chromosomes? Part of what we're coming to realize is that there is some arbitrary, established, historical, but somewhat arbitrary link that we've made between calling some people female on the basis of the people who can reproduce, the people who have vaginas as opposed to penises, people who grow breasts, people whose voices don't drop in adolescence, people who have these hormones. But if you think about it, what makes us women is not just what bodies we were born into, it's also how we're treated by the world. We are made into women.
Oh, Dr. Avgi, I can't agree with that. I can't agree with that. But I'm sorry, I did interject. I'm sorry. Let me finish what you were saying. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. Let me let you finish.
In many ways, kind of like gender is not a property that exists inside of us. It's a relational process. So if I present in a way that you could read me as female, right? If you say to me, if you refer to me with she, her pronouns, that in a way affirms my gender. We all announce our genders by the way in which we present in the world, and we hope that other people will respond to that, right? So there's something about this notion that we know what women are. Women are people with these bodies and these chromosomes that is contradicted by the fact that there are people who understand themselves as women and experience themselves as women who don't have the same experiences as people who were assigned female at birth do, but have different experiences.
I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. I definitely appreciate your choice of words. You and the assignments and the notions and I definitely appreciate how careful and strategic your choice of words are. I happen to I appreciate the English language. So I definitely appreciate your explanation and your how careful you are being as well to explain this to me. If you say that we and I can't repeat verbatim. I wish I could, but you were talking about our gender. You're stating. It sounds to me like you're saying that our gender is, and please, I expect you to correct me if I'm wrong. If I misunderstood you, our gender is what we feel we are, who we feel we are, but that we present according to what other people, according to what makes others comfortable, not necessarily.
Not always, sometimes, yeah.
Okay. But well, we'll say as in the case of the little girl with whom you were speaking, she presented as a little girl because it made her father feel comfortable.
She presented, I mean, for the most, she had a female name. She used she, her pronoun. But sometimes she would wear boy clothes so that her father would not feel sad because she sensed that he was sad.
That's right. She was born with male genitalia. Okay. So okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now, in that case, did you also have sessions with her parents as well as with her?
Yeah.
And so in that scenario, would your approach be to try to have the parent understand and accept the child's point of view, or just to understand it? Oh, I'm looking at the time. Caroline, I get so lost in the conversation. I'm enjoying this conversation. Family, if you have just joined us, you're tuned in to Love and Life. It is time for us to take just a short break, but stay with us though, because we are coming right back.
The job search can be a difficult and frustrating process. WURD's Livelihood Initiative was designed to help you find the right opportunity for your next professional move. Check out the recent openings posted on the Livelihood Job Board at wordworks.com. The Wagner Institute of Science is hiring a science outreach educator. The Bicycle Coalition of Greater Philadelphia is hiring both a director of finance and operations and an executive director. For more information on these jobs and others, go to wordworks.com and learn more about the Livelihood Initiative. Brought to you by WURD Radio, Progressive Black Talk Media.
Tonight's Powerball jackpot now has an estimated annuity of $785 million. $785 million. So don't forget to play at your local retailer or online. Pennsylvania lottery proceeds benefit older Pennsylvanians every day. Players must be 18 or older. Please play responsibly.
Listen to Grandmama and take this special note. One step is registration, and step 2 is your vote, and you must. Calling all citizens, don't you delay. It's time to do the 2-step and do it right away. Oh, listen to Grandmama and take this special note. Step 1 is registration. Step 2, go out and vote. We must. Oh, yes, we must. Yeah, we must. Come on, everybody. We must.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it twice a day.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it in the morning and before dinner.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it, and share it with my doctor. Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. It starts with a monitor.
Now that I know my blood pressure numbers, I talked with my doctor. We're getting those numbers down.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Learn more at manageyourbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association, in partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
You're listening to Love and Life with Carol Riddick on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media.
Well, hello there, family. Welcome back. Welcome back to Love and Life with yours truly, Carol Riddick, right here on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media, on air and online at wordradio.com. I do want to share with you that some of our family members are checking in. Donna Baker is sharing a hello. Hello, beautiful. Michael Upshaw is checking in as well, and he's sending love to the entire WURD family. He shares that he's currently multitasking, listening to his favorite talk show. Thank you so much. But he's watching the Eagles. Michael, I know you'd better send some scores because we are Eagles fans too, okay? And we don't know what's going on with the game right now. Thank you. You know what? Thank you, brother Malcolm. Thank you. Malcolm shares that the Birds are up 10-3. I like those numbers. Y'all know, come on now. Y'all know by now when the game is on, y'all have to keep me posted. So We are joined by our family members tonight, Dr. Avgi Saketopoulou and Ann Pellegrini. And we are talking about trauma as it pertains to one's gender identity. And before the commercial break, Dr. Avgi shared with us a case that she had with a little one that was having some difficulty navigating the conversation and the existence, I would say, with her parents. Is that correct? Did I? I want to make sure I say okay. Yes. So I was asking before the break. I was asking. So you had sessions with the family members as well as with the child, and so it was important for the family to. Now, I know it was important for the family to understand what the child was feeling,
Mhm.
but was it important? It was also important for the family to accept what the to accept the child, and what the child wanted. I should ask how old, how young this baby was. I'm curious, and I'm asking for a reason.
When I started seeing her, she was 5.
5. See, and again, because I have so little knowledge, um, it amazes me that at 5 she would have such conviction,
Mm.
um, about the differences. But there's a difference, so understandably so, there's a lot that she was processing.
Yeah.
And
I mean, if you think about it, Carol, and I've been working with trans kids and their families for over 20 years now. So this is not like a new area for me. But if you think about it, kids who are cisgender, like the term that you introduced earlier, who understand themselves in the gender in which they were assigned at birth, also know their gender very well and very early on, and can be very clear about being a boy or a girl. And then there's children who are less clear. So kind of like one sits with these different kinds of experiences very differently, but the priority always in doing child work is to side with the child's well-being rather than any one particular outcome. So for a child who feels that they are trans, that they're identified with a different gender, that's kind of like, that is very important to take seriously and be able to kind of like think about, especially with a good clinician. And for children who kind of like understand their kind of like gender differently, in this way, that's fine too. But Anne, I see, were you wanting to add something?
I'm really appreciating this conversation. And Carol, I also want to say something that Avi said, which is that I'm so appreciative that you're asking questions for clarification, because I think it's all too easy for people that are immersed in the literature, as Avi and I are. We both work with many trans patients. I teach LGBTQ studies in my classroom. So I will speak for myself now. I'm so immersed sometimes in this literature, in this language, that I forget that other people don't speak the same language. So asking for clarification is wonderful. It basically keeps me honest. So I really appreciate that. But I was thinking about something. It's this famous phrase from the French feminist Simone de Beauvoir, who famously said that one is not born, but becomes a woman. And what she meant by that is the following: that so if at birth, it's announced by the doctor or the midwife, or, oh, it's a girl, you had a girl, congratulations. You have a boy, congratulations. And of course, now we know that parents can often know, even before the baby comes into the world, the sex of that child, because of the, so much of the prenatal sort of medical care someone gets. You have to basically tell the doctor, don't tell me, I don't want to know. They've just insisted on telling you, right? So even before this little human arrives in the world, there are all these expectations waiting for that little body, like that's gonna gendered expectations. If the parents know or friends know that the child is going to be a girl, they buy different clothes at the baby shower than if they know the baby is going to be a boy. So just knowing the quote unquote sex of this child, that is not enough. Clearly, we have a whole developed social apparatus, clothes, how we teach children to hold their bodies. We tell little boys, boys don't cry. We tell little girls, girls don't get angry. We shape what it means to become a woman. Being born with a female body is not enough to guarantee you'll be a woman. We have all this deep training in femininity. right? All this deep training in masculinity. This is part of what we mean by saying that the assignment doesn't tell the whole story.
Mhm.
We're taught our gender. And one of the things I hear you saying is that for you, being a woman is a pretty good fit. It just feels right for you. There's a
Mhm.
congruence
Mhm.
between how
Mhm.
you were named and how you
Mhm.
feel in the world. And that's actually wonderful. Not everyone gets to have that experience. And in fact, there are many women who don't have that experience because we live in a very sexist world, as you know.
Oh.
So it's not easy to
Yeah,
be
oh, I
someone who
know.
identifies as a woman. Yeah, you know, right? Like,
Yeah.
so it's not easy to stand under that sign, woman.
You and I appreciate that. Oh my goodness. I really do appreciate this conversation. So for someone so with everything that you just explained and talking about the expectations of the world, excuse me. The one thing that you did say about my comfort level, about me being very comfortable being a woman and being accepting I am a woman. I am very comfortable with it. I love being a woman. I love everything about, who I am, being a woman. And so my challenge, because this is a challenge for me, my challenge is that, okay, so I accept that I am a woman. I know that there are men who accept that they are a man. If there is a human being that accepts that they are not either, why am I questioned? Why does there become the conversation? Well, no, you're not, I'm a woman too. Well, maybe you're not. Maybe you're something else. Maybe, and that sounds horrible to hear it come out of my mouth, and that's not what I mean. I mean, I hate labels, but it is a label. A woman being a woman, the word itself, that's a label. Being man, that's a label as well. But maybe there's another label. Why isn't it just accepted in that sense? Why does it have to be one or the other? Why because I feel like it causes so much confusion with all of us. I'm a woman, I accept it, I'm happy with it. Okay. He's a man, he's happy with it, he accepts it. Why, if, when a child is born, when this little human gets here and we say, oh, you're a girl, and the child, says, well, actually, I'm not. I'm, you know, I'm not a man or a woman. I'm whatever the child identifies as, or whoever the child is. Why isn't that the case? Why is it, well, you're not only a woman, I'm a woman too. But if you don't accept all of what I and other women as women accept being a woman is. I hope there was some clarity with that question. I really do.
Yeah. And again, I'll go back to something I said earlier. And again, I really appreciate that you're willing to struggle over this, right? And in a way that's not defended. I think we need more conversations like this. But I'm thinking, to go back to something I said earlier, that so many people who stand under the category woman, identify as women, would have actually rather different ideas about what makes them a woman, what the meaning of it is, what it feels like. I don't think there's any one way to feel like a woman, even for people who were assigned female at birth, grew up understanding themselves as girls, understand themselves as women more or less comfortably. That's, they'll stand under that letter, the W, right? They know which bathroom door to walk through. But I don't know that there would be uniformity amongst all the people you could possibly, interview about
That's a
what
great point.
makes them a woman. Like, what does it feel like?
But you know what? That's a great point that you make. So why is it that those who say that they too are a woman? I think there are more commonalities amongst those of us who were born with female genitalia that accept that we are women than not. To that point.
I think that we can also ask the same question in the inverse way. Like, why is it? So the opposite, the other side of that coin is somebody could legitimately ask, why is it such a big deal if somebody who was not born with female genitals calls themselves a woman, that they understand themselves a woman? And to go back to my work with children for a moment, like, parents give birth to children and have all kinds of hopes and fantasies about them. right? Like my child will become a scientist. My child will be like really religious. My child will want to live in our community. My child will give me grandchildren. My child will be this or that. And then the child arrives, and the child, if all goes well, has a mind and a life of their own. And it's not always easy for parents to accept that what they have, what they thought they knew about their child, what they want for their child, is actually not who their child is. So you were asking me earlier, so what do you do with a child who identifies as trans or identifies as a girl, and the parents understand a child as a boy because they were assigned male at birth? And I think that this is not very different from work than we do all the time with parents who have certain kinds of fantasies and hopes, and they're very invested in them, sometimes in a way that is well-meaning but can end up being quite violent, insisting that their child needs to be this when their child needs to go in a direction that accords with their being.
Right. And I agree with that. I mean, you're born, we're all human beings at our core. We're all born, and at some point, if this human being says, well, you know what, I don't agree with this idea that you have of who I am or who you say that I am. My point to the question that you asked, why is there so much confusion? Why are there so many challenges? Here we are in 2023. Once upon a time, this conversation would not have, it would not and could not have been as easy and comfortable for any of us, but here we are. It's 2023. We're knocking on 2024's door, and we're in the day and age when a little human can go to his or her parents and say, I don't like who you're telling me that you think I am. I'm actually, the opposite. My point in saying all of that is, again, I'm going to repeat something I said earlier. Why is it that those who are born with female genitalia, those who are born with male genitalia, why can't it just be that those who are in agreement with being called a man or woman, who are born with those particular genitalia or individual genitalia, why can't that just be? And why can't there be an addition? Why does it have to be one or the other? I think that's where the confusion comes in. I mean, because if I'm having a conversation with a transgender woman who tells me, well, you're not the only woman here, then I have so many questions because here I am. I've been a woman all my life. I don't know anything different. I don't know anything other than this. If you're introduced, and that's my point, if you're introducing something different, why not call it? And I'm not saying, and family, I want to be clear when I say this, because when I say different, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean something other than what we've been taught already exists. That's what I should say. If you're saying to me that you are something other than what I've been taught already exists, then why not call or identify the name or the label, if you will, since we've already agreed that man and woman are labeled. Why not create another label so that there isn't any confusion? So that we're just, well, I'm this, and I'm whatever, and then why can't that make the conversation or the challenges less? I should say the conversation's easier and the challenges less.
I think that if we look at it from the perspective that you're speaking to, then yes, like it would be simpler, perhaps, for somebody who thinks like you do, for these people to call themselves something else. But from the perspective of the person that you're imagining, that we're imagining this trans woman in this example, calling herself something else makes her not a woman. So the question that I think we, especially those of us who are cis-identified, as kind of like I am also somebody who was assigned female at birth, and I understand myself as a woman as a woman, I think that one question for us is, why do we want to police the category of woman? Like, why limit it? Like, what is the worry that comes up? And I say this not to criticize.
I want to correct you. There's no worry. There's no, and I'm not policing. that I want to be clear. I want to be very clear because like I said, I pay attention to your choice of words. They're very strategic. And I'm not policing in any way. I'm asking, and I'm not in any way worried about it. We're just sharing information, and I want to have a better understanding too. And I want you to have a better understanding of my own personal train of thought, because I can't speak for anybody else. But my point is that if we're saying this is a woman, like I say, this is an apple. If there's a hybrid that is created from however it's created, we call it a hybrid. We don't call it an apple. That's the point I'm making. Now, that's a big difference, a woman and an apple. But the point I'm making is basically the same. If you're saying to me that a human being is born with female genitalia and is told, okay, well, you're not a woman by a human being that is born who identifies as a woman. If this human being is not born, if they have differences, that's the point that I'm making. But I do, I hate that. Give me one moment. We have to take just a short commercial break, but we will be right back. Family, stay with us.
What are you waiting for? If you've been enjoying the information and interviews WURD provides every day, or come out to our community events, it might be time to become a member. This year marks the 20th anniversary of WURD, and there's no better time to join the forward movement. Sign up or renew your sustaining membership at just $90, or your digital membership for just $5 a month. Join online at wordradio.com/membership, or pick up the phone and give us a call at 215-425-7875. Press 4 for assistance. The time to join is now.
What am I waiting for?
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Can I touch this? Where does sand come from? Is this tree good for climbing? What happens if I mix these two things together? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Storing your guns securely is the best way to prevent family fire, including unintentional shootings. For more information on safe gun storage and ways to keep your family safe, visit endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org.
What do we keep in the attic? What's this thing called? Can I ride my bike backwards?
Like I said, kids are curious. It's up to us to keep them safe. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
To the big-hearted, the bold, the teachers, the growers, the builders, the change makers. We need you. We are the Peace Corps. In more than 60 countries, we go the distance to make a difference. We're volunteers, partners, communities, bringing our experience, joy, and passion to building a better world together. Are you looking for more? Then we are looking for you. Join us at peacecorps.gov.
Words of empowerment.
I am Vera Portier, and I am the founder of Every Heartbeat Counts. Yes, younger generation, please. Life is short. Love one another. Take care of one another. Advocate for one another. Be kind. We're better together. We are better together. Talk to your parents. Reach out to somebody in 100 Black Men. You are loved. I know you feel like we're a little disconnected. I'm willing to talk to you and connect with you and just get on the same wavelength. We love you.
This is Words of Joy and Empowerment on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. Audio provided by Love Now Media. These Words of Joy and Empowerment are brought to you by Wells Fargo, Mainline Health, and the Pennsylvania Lottery.
What is love?
You're listening to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media.
I think I know what love
Oh, family, thank you so much for hanging in there with us. You are tuned in to Love and Life. with yours truly, Carol Riddick, right here on WURD. We are having a conversation. You know what? I want to apologize to you all, family, because I have taken all of the time asking the questions, trying to, trying to find clarity for myself, the questions that I had. So I'm sorry if I have not opened the room enough for you to ask your questions. I definitely want to say that. And I also, I have to thank you, Dr. Avgi and Ann. I just want to thank you both. Just for your transparency, just for your patience, and just for being here again. I want to do that because I so appreciate you. I can't, explain and have you understand that I appreciate having this conversation with you. I want to take a moment. I believe one of our family members has been waiting to talk with us, and I'm sorry to you too. We have Rick joining us. Hi, Rick is joining us from Germany. Hi there, Rick. Thank you for calling.
Thank you for having this show. I'm just sorry that the football game is on and so many macho men are probably tuned out. I would like to say hello again to the psychoanalyst
Hi,
whose
Rick.
name I struggle to pronounce. So I will just call you doctor. And I would like to say hello to Miss Ann. I appreciate all three of you beautiful people having this conversation. Now, I identify as male, even though I had an unwanted surgery in childhood, which gave me a urinary insecurity throughout my childhood and teen years. So I also have a mother who is black, a woman, and was a bearded female. I watched this growing up, and I learned a lot asking my mother questions. And when she couldn't answer, she found grade school teachers, she found doctors who could answer the majority of my questions as a 10, 12, 14-year-old child. I think there's a lot of question about gender identity today because of what was done in the 20s and 30s and the 40s with gene experimentation, gender experimentation, hormone experimentation, which the Nazis get most of their dirty laundry put into books and so forth and so on, talked on radio. But what was done in America is not so much talked about. The environmental pollution that affects gender at birth and deformity, that is not talked about. But I have learned to accept most people as long as they are not criminal and rapist and abusive for what they are, and call them for the most part what they want to be called. That's all I have for you today, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to hear some response. I'll hang up and listen on the radio.
Thank you.
I think one of the first things that, sorry, I cut you off, Carol.
No. Go right ahead, Ann. No, please.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the caller's comments. And I think that one of the things that you said, Rick, that I want to sort of emphasize is that it's a matter of decency, right? To grant someone the dignity of calling them by the name that resonates for them. And I feel like this is just the most basic thing we can do with people we know, and also with strangers. Is, we don't always know when we meet a stranger the preferred pronouns, how they identify. But over the course of an interaction, we may come to understand that. And I think, again, it's just what a wonderful way to be in the world, to call people the names that are meaningful to them, as we would wish ourselves to be given that dignity. I mean, again, it's just a basic way to go about in the world. And it's shocking in some ways that this is so controversial at this current moment. We have, there are state legislatures who are saying teachers are not allowed to use the preferred name or preferred pronoun of the children in their classes. And if the teachers do, they could be fired. And I just find this is cruel. It's not how people should interact with each other, and it's not how people should treat children. But we are in this moment with it's as if these names and these categories aren't big enough to be shared. And I think these categories are amazing. They can hold so much. And now, if I can, I'm going to blow your mind even more, maybe, Carol, which is that it's not simply that we have people who, come to understand themselves, they've been assigned female at birth, they come to understand themselves to be male. There are also many people who actually identify as non-binary or genderqueer, who actually use the pronoun they, right? They, them, that don't fully align with either binary gender. I mean, the world of gender is so much wider than the narrow categories that we're given, right? And we know that people live in much wilder ways and wider ways than our language as well. We sometimes don't have the words to catch up, right, to how we are in the world.
And thank you for that. Thank you for that. And you're absolutely, listen, I have friends, friends and family. We're in this big world. We are in this big, big, big world. And it is my hope that we'll all have a better understanding and that the conversations will continue so that the conversations get easier, quite honestly, so that they become less challenging. Family, I hate that it is that time of night, but it is that time for us to begin to wrap up. But I want to begin by just thanking the both of you once again and extending the invitation to you to return to please come back and talk with us some more so that the conversation does continue, and so that we all have a better understanding of just life and how it's progressing. So thank you, Dr.
Thank
Avgi.
you.
Thank you. No, you're so welcome. So welcome. So welcome. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Dr. Avgi. Thank you, family. Our family members are still checking in. Harry is sharing that he's watching and he's watching the game and listening. Thank you for the conversation. Ms. Lily shares that it was such a great discussion. Thank you so much for that. Ms. Roslyn is joining us. I want to make sure, family, if I see that, I acknowledge in the time that I do have available to do so. But again, thank you for just coming, for being your unapologetic, authentic selves, and for sharing your time, your energy, your attention, your spirit, and your knowledge with us. Thank you, truly. Just thank you for that. Family, here we are. Praise God, from whom all blessings flow. As we wrap tonight's episode, I want to personally thank each and every one of you for your continued support of Love and Life. To our callers, I extend my gratitude. To our guests, I extend my utmost gratitude. To you who commented on our socials, I do as well. Just thank you for sharing your time, energy, attention, your spirit, your knowledge with us. I love you. I love you so much, but God loves you so much more. And I need you to know that, and I need you to own it. You hear me? To the entire WURD family, especially Niall Jackson, Nick Steptoe, thank you for all that you do. Family, I want you to remember, we're all in this together. You hear me? We are all in this big world together. So be good to you, but make sure that you're good to those around you. All right. Have a great rest of your night, family. And be sure to join me Monday through Thursday, 7 till 9 p.m. Eastern Time for another edition of Love and Life right here on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. You have a good night, okay? Good night.
It's the WURD Hot 60. Hot 60. Here's the hottest 60 seconds you missed this week on Reality.
We're talking about development earlier on the show as it relates to the 76ers trying to move into this downtown arena that they want to build, that they are proposing, that the community opposes. And they oppose it for a number of reasons, one of which is once they put that arena in that area, things are going to skyrocket down there. Philadelphia does not have a real good affordable housing system. When you look at all these apartment buildings going up, and I mean, everywhere in the city. What you're not going to see is what it takes to live in those apartment buildings. It takes people, they're asking for 3 times the rent. They are asking for credit scores above 650. And I'm not saying that those are not reasonable things, but at the same time, they are adding to the barriers for people getting into new construction apartments in particular. And now a lot of private owners are following along.
And that's your hottest 60 seconds this week from Reality Check on WURD Progressive. Black Talk Media.
What is